Okay, it's been a few weeks since I've done a video. Last video was the CEO2 full review. Ended up getting a lot more views than expected, and I got a lot of follow-up questions after I'd made that video, because at the very end, both Hunter and I agreed that the head was kind of stiff. It was stiff compared to the OG CEO, and as CEO guys, we both agreed that it's something you can't just pick up right away and start using and have no problems adjusting to it whatsoever. So a lot of the follow-up questions were, hey, are you guys going to do something to soften up the CEO2 to have it feel more like the OG CEO? And of course, the common thing was, let's have you boil it. Let's see if you can boil it, soften up the plastic, whatever. We're gonna address that in this video today. We're also gonna talk about the update on how the CEO2 has performed during these 2 weeks that I haven't talked to you guys about it. So within these past 2 weeks, it has been extremely hot in Florida. Unbelievably hot, like 100 degrees on the field, just melt your face off. No, I didn't get sunburnt this time. I learned my lesson, always wear your sunblock. Okay, during those 2 weeks, Hunter and I took tons of reps with the CEO2 to see, okay, maybe we didn't give it enough time to fully break in yet. Let's just keep going, balls to the wall. Let's continue to break this head in until we get it to feel more like the OG CEO. So that's exactly what we did. But I'm gonna show you guys what a brand new CEO2 looks like. I just picked this up. This is brand new. As you can tell, there's no warping, no scuffs, nothing. Here is a brand new CEO2, and here's our CEO2 after the review video, plus 2 more additional weeks of us facing off with it. And as you can tell, this thing is really starting to warp, especially from this angle. This is starting to look like an OG CEO, and even there. So we're getting somewhere with the warping on this. A lot of people thought that because it's a more durable plastic, it's gonna have a hard time warping, thus not being as flexible as the OG CEO. Well, it's starting to warp now. Okay, it really is, especially from this angle. This is a good warp that we like to have. These sidewalls, this sidewall and this sidewall, they're both starting to touch now, finally. And that's usually a good sign of when your CEO is starting to break in. Once those start touching, then you're pretty much good to go from there. Your head's fully broken in. Now it's a matter of time of when's it gonna break. Well, so far, we haven't seen any sort of cracks in the sidewall holes to begin with, but there are, I can't tell if they're actually there or not. It might be just a dirt line, but you know when you look at a normal OG CEO, usually with the gray ones, you can see that stress line that's forming right above the sidewall holes. You can kind of see it forming. That's pretty much where your sidewall hole is going to break. It's on its last limb. It's just a matter of time until that thing snaps. It looks like we got a little bit of that going on here, but again, I can't be fully confident with it. It kind of looks like just a dirt line from my sidewall string being over that and dirt getting around it, and it looks brighter than the rest of the plastic. But again, I'm not so sure about that. If I can take a guess, it seems like this 4th hole on the right side is going to be the first one to break, just because it's taken the most abuse in this angle. It's really dipping down hard right on that hole. Another thing about the warping, although it's warping like this, right, pretty crazy, it's still staying relatively wide in the face of it. Usually they start to really pinch in like this. And now I'm not saying this thing hasn't pinched in compared to the new one. It obviously has, right? There's a big difference there. But this is still playable. You're still not gonna have a problem with the ball getting out of this. You're still gonna be able to pass, catch, throw this, no problem whatsoever, because it's still relatively wide. I think a lot of that has to do with how strong the bottom portion of the CEO2 is. It's really stiff down here, and I think that just carries on all the way up, prevents it from getting narrow. Now, of course, over time, it's gonna continue to get more and more narrow. Here's a perfect example. But right now, I mean, this thing is really perfect. I would say it's the most perfect when it comes to warping. This is exactly what we want. We want it to warp like a normal CEO on the sides, so we can get those flex points going really well, but still stay wide so we can play field with it. Most CEOs that are broken in like this end up being pinched like this, and we can't play field with it. Now this thing stays super wide while still having those warp points, so you can still do more than a face-off with it, which is really huge, really big, and something that I'm really impressed with as this head continues to break in. So now that we're on the subject of this head finally developing those kink points and the warping and everything that we're looking for in a normal CEO to finally get it to break in, let's go ahead and cover the cons that I mentioned in the first review video of this head. The first con that was, again, not a big deal, but a lot of people hate it, the throat slant. The more you use it, the more you get used to it, you're not gonna notice the difference with the angle. It's still gonna feel like a much shorter throat than the OG CEO. I'm still a little butthurt that they didn't do it the right way, but it's not gonna throw off your performance. The next con that Hunter and I both agreed on was the fact that this head feels so wide that it has a hard time pinching the ball when we go to exit. In the first video, it wasn't horrible, but again, we're comparing it to the OG CEO, and that head does a phenomenal job of really pinching down on the ball with both sidewalls because it's super flexible. This being a stiffer and a wider head, it's obviously gonna have a hard time doing that. It was kind of rough in the first video. Hunter and I were just like, whoa, this doesn't do that well of a job. I mean, it's okay, it's not terrible. It just feels like there's still a little bit of play between the ball and the plastic. Now, fast forward that 2 weeks later, when this thing finally starts to kink in and starts developing these warp points, it's doing a much better job. I wouldn't say it's finally fixed. Again, nowhere near as well as the OG CEO, but it's definitely taken a huge step forward in being closer to that. Another con with the CEO 2 in the last video that I really noticed, I don't think Hunter really touched on it that well, but what I noticed is, and this all comes down to your style, I like my heads, if I take an OG CEO, I like my heads to do this, okay? I've always done that. I like them to twist over like this, so the left sidewall dips down and it creates this kind of banana. And with the OG CEO, it's gonna be a lot easier because it's a softer head, right? Now, when we had the CEO 2 in that last video, it sucked at it. It was just too stiff and the sidewalls were just getting caught on each other and it really didn't want to do it that well. Now, it's broken in, right? It's still having a hard time doing it, but definitely nowhere near as hard as it was in the other video. It's definitely starting to loosen up a bit. And a big part of it, why it's getting better, is because this sidewall is starting to stick out past this middle strut. So it's no longer getting caught on there anymore. You can see that. But it's no longer getting caught on that. It's able to slip outside of the head, just like that. If you can see that. Yeah, like there. It's not getting caught anymore. It's able to slip out. It's able to free up its space. So now it can collapse in on itself much better. Before, it didn't have this. They were pretty much flush. This sidewall in the middle were flush together and they were just running into each other and it didn't want to flex back on itself at all. But now it's warping, it's starting to kick out much better. Again, not as good as the OG CEO, but a huge step forward in being closer to it. And the last con about the CEO 2 that we mentioned in the prior video, which is kind of the reason why I wanted to make this video on the follow-up of the CEO 2 and why we didn't choose to do this method, but the stiffness in this head was a big issue. We talked to a lot of guys that have used the CEO 2. They were like, yeah, it's just way too stiff. And I made that pretty clear in the video that it's stiff. And a lot of kids responded saying, hey, if I get the CEO 2, can I just boil it and it'll be soft for me? So I got to clear the air on this. A lot of guys took that the wrong way. I don't think I made it very clear of why we boil heads. So let's go back to square one on this. A brand new lacrosse head, no matter what it is, there is a break-in period. From the time you buy it from the store and string it up to the time that it ends up looking like this. There's a set time. It varies obviously based off of where you're living, the temperatures, how strong you are, how much you weigh, stuff like that. It's all gonna vary amongst the player, but there's always that window of, okay, when I buy it brand new to when it's fully broken in, how long is that period? Sometimes it takes guys weeks to break it in, some guys a few days somehow, and some it takes a few months. So the reason why we boil lacrosse heads is to shorten that window. That would normally take months to do into literally days. That's the only reason why we boil heads. Boiling your head will not promise long-lasting softness in your lacrosse head. Think about it as a mouthpiece, right? You buy a brand new mouthpiece, it's stiff. If you put that brand new mouthpiece in your mouth and try biting on it to get it to mold to your teeth, that will take absolutely forever to do. It's possible to do, and it's probably the safest way to do it in order for you to not ruin that mouthpiece, but again, it's gonna take so long to do that. You buy the mouthpiece, you put in hot water, you boil it, you make it malleable for a short window of time, you put it in your mouth, you mold it to your teeth, and then afterwards you take it out and let it cool down. Same exact thing with our lacrosse heads. We pull them out of the pot and make them malleable for a quick period of time, and we try to get it to develop kinks. Obviously, we don't want their heads looking like this after we break it in right out of the pot, okay? That's beyond dumb. You do not want to have it like this right when you pull it out of the pot and start breaking it in. You want to get just slight kinks, just the slightest amount of kinks. Because the greater the kink and the warp in the head right out of the gates, the shorter the lifespan the head's going to be. So if you're going to boil your heads, I'm not recommending you doing it because chances are you're going to ruin it. I'm saying that right now, don't boil your heads. But if you want to, you got to have the slightest amount of kink. Nothing like this. It's got to be very, very subtle. Just enough to start that process of breaking it in. So we pull it out of the pot. It's super malleable. We break it in just where it has the slightest, I'm telling you right now, the slightest amount of kinks to it. We let it cool down, and that's it. And when we let the head cool down, it goes right back to its original stiffness prior to us boiling it. Boiling your lacrosse heads will not give you long-lasting flexibility. It just won't. That's how plastic works. That's how any material works. It will heat up and get softer in hot environments, and then it'll get colder and solidify in colder environments. The only true way to soften up a lacrosse head is to get it to develop kinks like this. It's the kinks and the warping that makes it feel softer. The head's no longer trying to fight what angle you're putting it on. It knows exactly where it's going now because it's creased. It's going to go like this every single time. That's what's going to give you this softer feel because you're not having to put as much effort into it. So again, boiling will not soften your heads. It will just develop the kinks faster than how it would if you do it with natural reps. Natural reps are the safest way to do it. I recommend everyone just breaks in naturally. I only boil my heads, personally, I only boil my heads when I only have maybe a day or a few days to break in a brand new lacrosse head and I have to play it the very next day or two, whatever the case is. If I'm not in a hurry, natural reps. But for me, for somebody who I can say, hey, I'm gonna boil this the night before so I can break it in and have it game ready the next day, that's my personal way of doing it. I do not suggest it to anyone. It's not the best way. Obviously, it's not the best way. It increases the chance of you breaking your heads. But if you're willing to do it, be safe with it, be smart with it. Don't develop crazy kinks like this right out of the pot. Just enough so where you can start that process faster than how you would with natural reps. So, CEO2 has finally developed the kinks with natural reps. This is what it looks like. Has it gotten softer? Yes. It's definitely a night and day difference between this and 2 weeks ago. It's definitely improved a lot. It's nowhere near the flexibility of the OG CEO. I don't think it ever will be because it's the plastic, right? Plastic's totally different. But this is a leap closer, especially when you play in those warmer temperatures. You play in the summer, and this thing really starts to heat up, man, you're gonna see a huge difference in the head. But again, nowhere near the OG CEO. It never will be. So if you're looking to get the CEO2, which you're going to have to if you're an OG CEO guy, but if you're looking to pick this thing up and say, oh, I'm gonna boil it, I'm gonna soften up over time, finally get to the OG CEO, that's not the case. It's going to get softer, it really is, but it'll never be exactly the same as the OG CEO, unless they made it with the exact same plastic as the OG, which they did not. They made that very clear. They wanted a more springier, more long-lasting, durable plastic so you can do more than the face-off with it. Obviously, it's doing a pretty good job with the face shape, staying like this. Not so well here, but I'm willing to take a head that warps like this, but stays wide like this. That's a win in my books. That's a double win. I can do normal face-offs with it, pick up ground ball, pass, catch, shoot, whatever, because the face shape is still so wide. So just one last look of how a brand new CEO2 looks compared to one that is finally broken in. Here's the face, here's the side, here's the other side, the best side, and there you go. Pretty big difference. Now, moving on, the next thing I'm still getting asked a lot about is how does the CEO2 compare to the Burn FO? I made it very clear in my other video. This Burn FO is a great head. I still like it, but as a CEO guy, I'm going to take this over the Burn FO. That's my personal opinion, coming from some guy who's been using it for his entire career. I feel more comfortable with this. Here's how they look side by side. Obviously, the Burn's holding its shape much better because I've been using this more. But still, the fact that this sidewall is designed like this, it's impossible to get it to feel exactly like the OG CEO. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to make it very clear that I never boil this head. I never plan on boiling the head. And I also just want to give you guys an update on it to see how it really looks once you start breaking it in. So there is some sort of hope for those guys that wanted a softer CEO2. It's going to get softer over time because the kinks really do start to develop. And of course, when you play in hotter temperature, it's going to feel much softer. So yeah, really impressed with it and really shocked to see how it's holding up this well so far. I'm really curious to see how much more it'll hold this shape for the more we use it. So I guess I'll have to keep you guys updated on our Instagram, show you pictures of it after we've broken it in some more and more and more. Hopefully it'll stay like this. Who knows? I have no answer for it yet, but who knows? So I know I've been late on videos. It's been a few weeks since I made one. I'm sorry, just been caught up with crap. I am gonna get back onto a routine. I'm gonna post at least once a week videos now. I gotta get back into that. Probably not every Friday, but whenever I have time to throughout the week. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe so you get notified when we post. I don't announce when I post videos, and when you're subscribed, you get notified when I make a post. So make sure you do that. I don't care about that bell thing. Just if you wanna hit it doesn't help me anyway. I don't care about the bell. The bell. Now that this head's completely unstrung, you can only guess what's gonna happen next. That's it, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Till then, kids, get them dirty.